Dale, let's start with you. Under our system, parties don't get much state funding. And the government party doesn't get any. So they have to look to donors like you. I mean, why do you do it? You've got lots of money. I mean, you spend a lot of it on Forest Green Rovers, and so people might think you're addicted to lost causes, given that you donate to the Labour Party as well. But why do you donate to? Why do you choose to spend your money on political donations?
Look, I give money to all kinds of good causes, not just the Labour Party, not just Forest Green Rovers or Just Stop Oil, Greenpeace. I fund school breakfast clubs and food banks here in Stroud, give jobs to homeless people. I do all kinds of good things. I try to help people that are trying to do good in the world. And to come to your question, Labour always face a spending deficit between themselves and the Tories. At the last election, the Tories outspent everybody else put together. And I give them money to try and help bridge that gap.
You were also, as you say, giving money to Just Stop Oil, which the Tories banged on about again and again and again. It was a bit awkward for Keir Starmer when he was trying to distance himself from Just Stop Oil. Is that why you stopped donating, to give Keir Starmer an easier ride?
No, I'm not sure if you saw my statement, but the point I made was that the Conservatives had been clear that no amount of protesting would stop them drilling in the North Sea. In fact, they doubled and trebled down, threatening to issue hundreds of new licenses instead of just a handful because of the protest. And they tried to weaponize the protest, creating a new culture war front for themselves against green stuff. And it seemed very clear to me that we can't stop oil through protest, but we can stop it through the ballot box. That was the logic I laid out in my statement.
And what do you get? What's in it for you as a donor beyond donating to good causes, as you put them, causes you see as worthy? Do you speak to Keir regularly? Do you get time with shadow cabinet ministers? Is there an advantage for ecotricity in you doing all of this?
No, I never ask for anything. I never get offered anything. I don't want anything. I just want to help them win the election.
But you speak to Keir?
I have spoken to him probably twice, maybe in my life. I met him at the conference, an after-speech get-together, and we spoke for probably 5 minutes. We talked about football.
Is he Forest Green now his second team after all the money you've given him?
I have no idea, but we are going to have a five-a-side game. Well, we talk about it anyway. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know. But it's a bit of football banter between us. That's it. But look, I know how the stereotype goes, and I think it's been created through donations to the Tory party, where a lot of cash is given for influence, for policy changes, for planning consents, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of it is hidden as well. It's just not transparent. I sit in front of a camera anytime and talk about what I've given and why I give it. And it's very rare for you to be able to find, I think, a Tory donor to do the same. You've got Charlie today. I see that. And I was wondering, who you would have.
Well, Charlie has always been very open about the cash he spent on donating to the Tory party. But Charlie, you're not in that game anymore, are you?
No, I've stopped donating to him since we left the EU. And I'm rather like a Stoughton. I put my money to other causes, and one of them is like Shooting Star Hospice. So any money that I would have given to the Tories in the past now goes to Shooting Star Hospice. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with people donating and then raising the limit, I think, by 80%. There's nothing wrong with that, because I think, everybody's got to go in there with the best chance they can. But I feel this year that, hopefully they do raise it and, still stay into power, because, they're obviously struggling at the moment.
When you were donating to the Tories, you got a lot of access. You've spoken about going in and out of Number 10, meeting David Cameron, meeting George Osborne, going to the balls the Tories hold for their donors. Do you miss all of that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think because I'm involved with a lot more charity work now, so I don't miss it. But, it's just part of, if you put a few quid in, then they invite you. But, it doesn't necessarily give you any favours other than, invitations to certain things. I've met a few of the Prime Ministers and, it's all very open and my donations are very open. But once I've stopped donating, they felt that, maybe they don't want to be part of, or me part of them. But no, so the answer is I don't miss it. I'm more concerned that, they do win the next general election. I think it's somewhere just before a year in January. And I think they've got to chuck everything at the moment, including the kitchen sink.
Well, you can sort that out for them. As a businessman, Charlie, what do you think of Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves?
Well, they're not business orientated, so that's one of the reasons that I don't want them in. I just don't think they've got what is needed. I don't think they're honest enough, and but more so, Labour is just not business orientated, and that's where the Conservatives should win hands down. And you'd like to think that they could win without having to spend extra money, but so much damage has been done. I think with Partygate and the COVID situation, I think they're really struggling at the moment.
Would you ever think of donating money to the Tories again, or are you done with that?
It really depends, It depends who's Prime Minister, I think, and, it really depends on the situation at the time. But, I was pretty put out when we left the EU and pretty put out with some other things. And so, I'll probably cross that bridge when I get to it.
Is there anything that could stop you from donating to Labour, Dale?
I have no idea. Sorry, I had the question. I have no idea, actually. I hadn't given that a lot of thought. I mean, I just think the Tories have done incredible damage to our economy in the last 13 years. I was listening to Charlie there saying that, effectively they're more business-like than Labour. I don't think that's true. I think they've shown themselves to be very unbusiness-like in the last 13 years. And I think we need to give Labour a chance.
What do you say to that, Charlie?
Just wait 1 second. I was talking to me. I think I only heard half it. You disagree that Labour are not business orientated, Dal, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, Charlie. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Tories have shown themselves to be detached from business and business interests. I mean, Brexit is a great example of it. I mean, they refused to listen to businesses that were saying this will be harmful. I mean, Boris Johnson said F business. That was like how important he thought business was. And I think that, Labour, we need to give them a chance.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to probably disagree because I am, strongly a Conservative. But, I think it's been a tough few years and obviously the economy suffered with various things. And yes, I think Brexit is a big disaster. But, I feel we'd be worse off with Labour in from a business point of view and many other point of views. But as you say, nobody knows. But, can we risk giving Labour a chance? I mean, the business that I know about them is just not business orientated at all. It's just giving money to people that don't work, for argument's sake. And they're just not on the same level of the Conservatives from a business point of view. But, it's been a tough few years, as you know, Dal.
Yeah, I do. And listen, I just think, and no offense, but that's a lazy stereotype to say that Labour just want to give money to, people without jobs and people that don't want to work. That's not what it's about. And that's not a measure of how business like Labour are. If you look at their plan for the economy, the green economy in particular, where the big opportunities are, they get it, whereas the Tories have turned their backs on it. And I think that's a disaster for our country. It's like another Brexit in the making for us, because the big economies of the world, China, the EU and the US, are running hell for leather towards the green economy because they see the benefits from it. We're turning our backs on it.
Yeah, well, again, it depends, I think, who's going to be Prime Minister and we can obviously change things. But, I'm just sort of saying nothing impresses me about Labour, nothing at all. I'd be quite frightened if they was running the country at the moment because I just don't think they've got nothing there. And the Kerr fella, I mean, I just don't reckon him at all. But, it's just my opinion from a business point of view. I think we'd be worse off if Labour get in.
Well, we'll see how the campaign goes. We'll see what the parties spend their 35 million quid on. Just to conclude our discussion, Dale, you have donated lots of money to the Labour Party, but do you think a healthier system that would liberate the big parties, the political system, from the influence of donors without casting aspersions on either of you, would be if we spent taxpayers' money on it? In a lot of countries, political parties are funded by the state. In our nearest neighbour, Ireland, that's the case. Across much of Europe, that's the case. Do you think that would be a better system?
Yeah, I do, because you mentioned the US system earlier on, and you mentioned how it's another level compared to what we've been used to spending here. And there's always been a funding gap between the Conservatives and Labour. There's always the danger of influence. Big money goes into one party or the other. There's always a danger of influence. The public see that. That creates cynicism around politics as well. And I think for a relatively small sum of money, we could have an evenly funded, fair, clean political system. I mean, selling HS2 land last week or the week before by Rishi Sunak, that cost us 100 million quid. We don't need that much money to fund a clean election, right? We could do it with 50 million quid or something like that. And I say that would be a good investment for our country and our democracy.
Do you agree, Charlie? State funding of political parties, yes or no?
Well, definitely no. I mean, taxpayers' money. I mean, we need to spend that on better things. Under no circumstances can it be taxpayers' money. I know it makes it more of a level playing field in the sense that, a lot of the Conservatives are big billionaires that are donating. But, definitely not this on that taxpayers should be paying it for the funding of that. Definitely not.
Well, Charlie Mullins, British businessman, founder of Pimlico Plumbers, former Tory party donor, and Dale Vince, Labour donor and founder of Ecotricity. Thanks very much.